I always bring a lot of videos about international bodybuilders, but this is a Spanish-speaking channel, and most of you are probably most interested in bodybuilding in Spanish. And Josema is one of those who is most in the spotlight right now, especially after his move to the open bodybuilding category. I already made a video before about how he trained, but that was when he was in Classic, and things have changed because now he's not holding back and he wants to gain muscle mass and he wants to grow. How will he do it from such a high level? We'll find out in today's video. Welcome to another episode of How the Best Bodybuilders Train, a series on the channel that I really like. And I think Josema's training is going to surprise you because yes, it has changed. Now it's harder, more intense, but it still seems like little, very little compared to what other open bodybuilders do. We're lucky that he shares very clearly and in detail what he does. I think it's interesting to start with legs. He has shared two different leg days, one that's normal, let's say, and one that's more intense. Let's look at the intense one, which by the way, on that day he also does more sets, so it's like the most powerful leg day he does. And yes, this is his complete workout, he only does this, only in quotation marks. Quadriceps extension, 2 sets plus a drop. This doesn't mean it's 3 sets, but that he does 2 sets and in the last one he adds a drop set. And how do I know? Well, because the good man explained it in detail, here you have it. 2 working sets with a drop on the last one. 260 on the machine weight, 10 reps, and on the last one he does 8 lowers the weight to 230 and gets another 7. Then he does leg press, 2 sets, but on the last one he adds a rest pause, meaning he keeps going until he reaches a certain intensity for however long it takes, 10, 15, 20 seconds, and continues the set until he reaches a high level of effort and intensity again. He does this with 440 kilos very controlled sets, slow tempo on the way down, feet together, feet low, a lot of knee flexion, focused on the quadriceps. If you're wondering about the intensity he's putting into this leg workout, this is the main difference. He's giving it much more intensity than he used to. Because now he trains to failure, or to 0 reps in reserve, where he can't do even 1 more rep. He's even using high intensity techniques like rest pause or drop sets. After that, he continues with a belt squat and does 2 more effective sets. That means he only does 6 sets focused on the quadriceps, with a lot of weight, very controlled tempo, and a lot of intensity, but the training session volume per muscle group is low. He's doing a kind of modified heavy duty, like what Mike Menser or Dorian Yates used to do, but as I said, modified, adding a few more sets and doing it in a more updated way. He does 2 sets of lying leg curls, and in the last one he adds another rest pause, and just 1 set of Romanian deadlifts, so we can say he's doing 3 direct sets for the hamstrings, just 3 sets. Half as many as for quads. Of course he has very good hamstrings but needs more quad development, which makes sense. For adductors he only does 1 set with rest pause. For calves he does 4 very intense sets as well. Again, controlled tempos, slow negatives, explosive positives, focusing on technique, no cheating, no momentum. He performs all these exercises perfectly, making sure the work goes directly to the target muscle. A strong leg workout in my opinion, and similar to mine, few sets with high intensity, which I like. Now let's check out his chest and biceps routine. Incline press on the Smith machine, he does 2 sets, pretty heavy, close to failure. After that he does a flat press on a machine, just 1 set with a drop, meaning a drop set. So, he only does 3 sets of presses. There are people who do between 10 and 15. He does some dumbbell flies. I really don't like this exercise. I think cables are a much better option, but anyway, just 1 set, rest pause. After this, he does a set of cable crossovers with a drop set. So with this, he completes a total of 5 very intense sets for the chest, using those high intensity techniques. And that's it, just 5 sets for the chest. No shoulders that day, just whatever indirect stimulus they get from the presses. He moves on to biceps. A dumbbell biceps curl with a rest pause, 2 curls with the easy bar. So in total, 3 sets for biceps, that's all the work for the session. And then he does 2 sets for abs and 2 for calves. Like with legs, there's a pause and significant weight, but done in a controlled, technical way without cheating. The goal isn't to add weight just to do it. He does sets of in the 5 to 12, maybe 15 rep range at most, no more than that. Actually, short sets at the beginning, and as the session goes on, they get a little bit longer, but never anything excessive. These are strength hypertrophy sets. I want us to take a look now at his triceps workout, where he also includes back, but I've also seen that some weeks he does back alone, with a bit of hamstrings, and other times he does just arms or triceps with chest, so he keeps changing it up. I imagine he's just trying to give each muscle group about 2, 3 or 4 days of rest. Maybe he gives 2 or 3 days to arms, maybe he gives 3 or 4 to chest and back, and that's why sometimes they end up on one day or another. That's my explanation. Triceps and back for today. I'll leave you the full workout. This is what Josema writes. Triceps on the long rope pulley. He does 2 sets with the elbow behind, using that downward press technique. After this, he does unilateral triceps with an ankle strap. The exercise is also quite similar. With the elbow behind. We've already done 4 sets of triceps, and after this, he does overhead triceps with a long rope. Basically, he doesn't leave the pulley. His entire triceps workout is on the pulley. It's interesting he avoids dumbbells, basic exercises, and calisthenics. Here we can see that since it's his weak point, he's doing 6 sets, while for biceps he does 2 or 3 sets, and for quadriceps he does 6 sets, while for hamstrings he does 3. Muscle groups like chest, which are neither intermediate nor particularly good or bad, let's say he does 3 or 4 sets, and for the ones that are very privileged or too advanced, he does 2 or 3. Alright, thank you. This is what many bodybuilders don't understand. I don't know why it's so hard for them, and why some are so stubborn. Bodybuilding isn't just about growing into a monstrous mass without proportions or symmetry. No, you have to grow in a balanced way. You have to sculpt yourself little by little with a hammer and chisel and bring what the judges want. A bodybuilding physique should be balanced, not just big shoulders or arms while neglecting other parts. I hope I'm making myself clear. After working triceps at the start of the session for priority and intensity, with controlled timing and good form, he then does pullovers with a long rope. He does 2 sets of pull-ups. I was surprised to see him doing them. Pretty good control too. And after this he does chest supported rows, quite heavy and without cheating. This is an exercise where I see people cheat a lot. If you notice, he depresses his scapulae quite a bit, even slightly protracts them before retracting them. And that's also what I do. Okay, I like it because I basically train like this guy. This is a great way to work the entire trapezius area, not just the upper part. He finishes by doing single arm cable rows. I guess it's to balance both sides to make it more analytical, whatever. The point is, he does 2 sets. And you might say, he's doing a lot of back sets. I think we approach this the wrong way, and it's not right. We need to change it. I also approach it this way, and I'm going to tell you how. I don't do sets for back, I do sets for width or sets for density. Let's put it that way. And that's what Josema is doing, because he starts with 2 sets of pullover, let's say, focusing on the lats, 2 sets of pull-ups focusing on the teres major and lats. And then the other 2 sets he's doing, one is basically a row, doing shrugs, which are purely for the traps and rear delts. And then he's doing a unilateral high pulley. If you notice, there's also quite a bit of rotation, emphasizing retraction, so he's really focusing on the traps. And that's how it should be, because it's like saying, no, I do 8 sets for legs. Okay, but the leg has quads, hamstrings, adductors, it's not just leg, and that's it. And the back is the same way. They're a group of muscle groups. Each one does a different action. Some complement and help each other, yes. But you can't base a back workout just on pull downs. Where are the traps? You can't just do a workout of rows, shrugs, etc. Yeah, because you're basically leaving out the lats. In general, what can we see has changed? Well, now he does a bit more training volume, a few more sets, but it's still a very low training volume per session and per week, very few sets, sometimes just 3 or 4 for some muscle groups. We can say that the intensity has increased significantly. Now he uses high intensity methods, does rest pause, does drop sets, goes to failure or very close to failure. The technique? The execution is very clean, it's controlled, slow lowering tempos, controlled eccentric negative phases, and more explosive concentric positive phases, strong contractions, really feeling the muscle, focusing without ego or cheating. He basically trains perfectly. For me, this is definitely the way to progress and do things right. Smartly, recording the weights, down to the millimeter, he writes everything down. How many kilos you use, how many reps you do, trying to improve session by session properly, not by cheating. Just because you're lifting like crazy and you get more reps that day by pushing harder, right? Standardizing a technique and using progressive overload, these are the foundations of hypertrophy training when applied correctly. This would be his current training to be an open bodybuilder. Nothing more is needed. More is not better. Done right, better is better. I've been training like this for a long time, and I think it's working very well for me. You have to work and stimulate, but not annihilate, not destroy. By the way, that's a quote from a legend. To see more episodes, check the playlist in the description and pinned comment for more bodybuilders and their training. That's all from Ares White Culturismo. See you next video.